Wow, we're starting this video down by the pond again, which is really starting to look very nice at the moment. Very calm and peaceful down here this morning. We've got the water lilies just breaking the surface now. We're really pleased they overwintered so well because they were just put into the mud on the base of this pond at the end of the last season. Somebody we knew, a friend of Kate's, was clearing a pond out and had excess amount of water lily material. We'd been buying them, and when you do buy water lilies, goodness, are they expensive in garden centres, and you get such a tiny little offering, whereas these were lovely, great big rhizome type things, and they've done, I think, very well. We'll see how they proceed over the coming summer, but I'm hopeful we can keep the level in this pond right up to that drainage level all year long, now that we are taking all the surface water and our treated grey water comes straight into here. So interesting to watch how this develops. Hosta in the pot that we popped here last season, just look at the growth on that, doing absolutely beautiful with the perennial, I always call this forget-me-not. I don't know the official name of this plant, but it's a lovely thing with variegated leaves, and it's doing very well. Pot itself, I'm afraid, is disintegrated over the winter with the frosts, but I think we'll just let this, as part of the wild garden, just sit there and form. The little deck that we built here, just so we could come down and peer into the water, is working really well. And this wild little grass thing, just look at this, lovely heads on it. I don't know what this is. It's all around here a wild, quite sharp reed-like plant. Most of the year looks a complete mess, but just at this time with these flowering bracts almost, absolutely beautiful, and just picking up a little bit of campion just coming through it as well. So, and there goes the pump. Every time a float pump comes on, we get a fresh burst of treated water into the pond. Wild buttercups just starting around the base of it as well. But enough of my wildlife pond. Let's go back up into the formal garden and show you what we've got coming on, because there is some fantastic blossom now just starting in this garden, as you can see. Pears and cherries, really at this time of year, worth having a good look at. Well, there's nothing quite as beautiful as a pear tree in full blossom, and at this time of year here in the UK they're doing just that. This one's been growing here in the dell for, I think, probably about 6 or 7 years old. The stem's probably got a diameter of around 6 to 7 inches on it at the base, and it really needs the top taking out of it, because the problem with pears is they do tend to go straight up, which is lovely if you just want a flowering tree, but this is a very good fruiting pear, and it's almost impossible to pick anything that forms up the top of something that size. We've missed the boat in terms of pulling the boughs down. If you can get them at a young stage and arch them, then they can really form a beautiful structure and fruit fantastically. Makes pruning them subsequently an awful lot easier. This one I think I'm just going to have to cut out, but I'm not going to do that until this blossom's finished, because the combination of this with the pink double cherry just behind it, which we're going to show you in a minute, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go round to the other side of the wall, because the view I'm getting from my window with these two trees, one behind the other, is absolutely spectacular. Just thought I'd stop on the way to show you this little campion, a lovely little pastel pink, growing really well here, and it should flower really quite heavily over the next couple of weeks. It's just coming into blossom here on the corner of the vegetable garden, well, the old vegetable garden. That's the barn that's currently under construction, and just to my left we've got this absolutely spectacular upright full double cherry. Oh, now isn't that worth growing? A real spectacle. Combination of the bronzy foliage as it emerges from the winter hibernation and this full double bright pink, and we've got that white pear behind it. You don't really get the effect from here, but if I go further back you'll see how the combination of the pink and the white works really well. Well, there's the view. Doesn't work particularly well this time of day filming it, I'm afraid. I should film this for you in the evening when we've got the sun almost behind us. At the moment it's coming from the east through, and the contrast is a little much, but this is what I'm sat looking at most of the morning when I'm in my armchair doing the editing. Got this lovely pink backdrop of the green in the dell as the leaves are just opening up, and then we're lucky enough to be right on the edge of the Blickling estate with the farmland behind it. Gives an absolutely spectacular effect. Also got some beautiful apples just starting. They're usually about a couple of weeks later than the pears before they come in, and some of the later apples will be much later than that. When you're thinking about pollination on these things, you have to put them into 3 groups in terms of the early, mid-season and late flowering varieties, but this one's definitely on the early stage with beautiful display of pink fading to white, I suspect, apple blossom here. And under planting on this we've got some peonies which in previous years have really been well lost in the mass planting here, but I think they're going to do far better now that we've popped this pathway through. The light here has been cleared and they are looking really good. Fantastic bud forming on these. Just look at that again with the red stems. I do love the architecture that you get with the peonies, and again this bronzy foliage. But if you want to see some real spectacular bronze foliage, let me take you to my favourite rose just along here. Now just look at that in terms of fire red new growth of leaf changing through to the shiny dark emerald green foliage as it matures, and this is growing really well in this position. This is a Generous Gardener, one of my favourite roses, one of the best once you've got it established, and should give us a really good display. Starts with this burst of fantastic foliage and colour, and it forms a really thick hedge if you do grow it on a support or trellis. There's not much you can see through this, so if you are looking for a rose to grow as a tall hedge on a trellis, this is one of the best choices you can make. Spectacular thing, and later in the season the blossom is just fantastic. Our little pots of tulips are just coming on. Very late planted these. We did a separate video explaining how we and when we planted these. They were rescue tulips, very cheap from the garden centre, giving us a little pop of colour on this table. And above us, just look at the growth on this, one of the most rampant ramblers you can get, Paul's Himalayan musk, mugging this apple tree now, used as a support. It still fruits perfectly well, but it's really a rose support more than a structured apple tree now. And that, again, with the new structure we put here and a little patio in front of it, this year I'm hoping will give us one of the best displays we've had from it. So lots happening in this garden, lots more to film, and I'm going to keep filming the progress and highlights in this garden over the next few weeks. So do join us again, and thanks very much for watching.